Hello and welcome to SoBlades. I'm Adam. This is SoBlades. This is my channel to talk about knives, pocket knives, different things like that. We have a little thing, short, probably one to go over. This is a Remette knife. I believe it is the Remette Peacock II, sort of a budget knife here. I got this for quote-unquote free from a BladeHQ promotion. I think the promotional spend was $165 to get one of these for free. I think the retail price for these is probably $20 to $30 for something like this. And interesting little knife. I actually was recording this video and got like 15 minutes in and was finishing up and then realized that my recording situation wasn't right and I wasn't capturing the audio. So now I'm redoing it, which hopefully can get us through here a little bit quicker. But a budget knife that I got kind of for free, and that's okay. I think Remette, I don't have a ton of Remette knives. They do really decent budget stuff. I bought my friend a Remette Camel, I think it was, that's like a button liner lock, and things like that, and it was a really good deal. I thought, I think that one was D2, but I don't know. This is a little bit interesting. It's just a basic, you got a flipper tab, G10 handle here, liner, steel liner. It's a liner lock knife and a, pretty narrow blade. It's a small knife, all things considered here. So just a tiny little thing, but decent for EDC kind of stuff, and it's fine to operate this. I think the retail price, is probably close to like $25-ish or something like that, and it's all right. I mean, looking at this, the actual length of this is about 7.5 or just shy, maybe about 7 and change. The blade length is like 3 and maybe a quarter, and the cutting edge is maybe 3 inches or something like that. I weighed it in the previous video. It's something like 2.6 ounces, so very light, and that is potentially just because of its overall size and also the materials chosen here. So like 2.62 ounces, very, very light. Balance on this is fine. And I don't know. I've been carrying this around occasionally. I feel pretty good. Centering, basically from the factory, I haven't messed with the pivot at all or done anything. Centering is pretty good. I still have the factory edge on here. One of the things interesting about this, we have the G10 handles with the steel liner and the liner lock. I don't know. We can see the detent ball in there, but I'm not sure what kind of detent ball it is. But that is all fine. We actually have a little bit of a back spacer here, which I'm assuming is just like plastic, or maybe, I don't think it's G10, but I suppose it could be. Yeah, maybe it is. But the actual handles here are kind of nice. We have this extra kind of milling sort of grooves in there for some extra traction, and it's not like contoured necessarily, but it does have, these do sort of chamfer off to the side, which is nice, and the sort of pattern in there with those grooves goes, doesn't go all the way out to the edges on the back here, but it does goes out to the top there. I do appreciate that we have like jimping along the back, including into like the back spacer. I appreciate stuff like that. It's just a little extra detail here. Got a lanyard hold back there, so you could pop that through. Pocket clip, pretty standard, a little bit stiff. It's kind of a big one. I do like when I'm sort of manipulating this that my like ring finger can just like fit right in there if I'm gonna be just holding it like that. Not a big deal. It's actually kind of comfy. If I were to be using this a little bit different, it potentially is a hot spot kind of on my finger there if I really get it into my palm. I can definitely tell that it's there, so maybe that's like a little bit bigger than it needs to be. Could probably be a little bit narrower. Tension on it is, it's actually pretty strong. We do have a bit of a cutout here, which is kind of a theme. There's sort of these angular cutouts, same with like where the the paracord or the lanyard hole would be. There's even a small little cutout on the flipper tab, and then there's the cutout on the blade. Speaking of the blade, it's sort of a clip point blade. I do appreciate that it's got some thickness. This is just flat ground. It's their budget stuff, I think, satin here. And it's actually a decent size, decent thickness blade stock, and then it is like thicker here, and it does kind of come out reinforced all the way to the tip pretty much. The cutting edge is thin enough, came factory sharp, but I do like that there's some thickness up to the very tip of this, which I think this is good. One of the things, I don't know what steel this is for blade steel. It doesn't say anywhere on here. Remette, manufactured in China, not a big deal. They make some really good stuff, really good budget stuff, good fit and finish. They do OEM stuff for other brands and other makers, and they have been doing some like sort of whatever the opposite of budget is, luxury knives or different things with different materials and different manufacturing processes and inlays and zirconium and titanium and lots of other different stuff. And those are in the $300, $400, $500 price range, I think, which is fine. This is not that. And I just don't know what blade steel it is, nor do I know what the heat treat is, because it doesn't say anything on here. I think looking at other maybe Peacocks, it's probably 9CR18 MOV, sort of just a budget stainless steel, very comparable to 8CR13 MOV, or I don't think it's quite maybe up to par with like AUS 10, but probably AUS 8, it's a budget stainless steel, okay corrosion resistance, I think, very easy to work with and sharpen, I think, and touch up. It's not super hard. I don't think it's super soft either. I don't know, if comparing this to like other budget-ish steels, if you like a 14C28N, or like I say, a AUS 8, AUS 10, or even D2, Nitro V, different things. This is probably on the lower end, depending on what sort of properties a person is looking for there, but decent. And it just doesn't say anything on here. I would have preferred that. I've been looking and trying to find where it says, and it doesn't say, which I don't know what that is about. The action on this is good. I think it's ball bearings, ceramic ball bearings maybe, and using the flipper tab there, which is pretty small but perfectly serviceable to open that up, is nice. And then we do have this cutout on the blade, which is almost looks like a thumb hole there, but because this is so small and so thin, and the cutout there is so small and so thin and kind of a weird shape, actually, it's not super easy for me to utilize that to manipulate the knife. Certainly like slow rolling it out, kind of like that, not a big problem. If I want to like use it as a thumb hole to open it a bit faster, I don't know if that's the best thing. I can reverse flick it, but it's not super easy. There's a couple different ways. I can kind of try to get my nail in there a little bit and do it like that. Also, if I maybe just use some of the flesh and get it up like that, it's definitely possible. It's not super comfortable, it's not super convenient, but like I say, I do like using just the flipper here and having my ring finger kind of rest in that pocket clip. I tend to like smaller knives, so this feels okay in terms of like length and stuff, but it is like smaller maybe even than I would like. Manipulating it with my left hand, which is my offhand, I'm right-handed, is not too bad. The pocket clip is a little bit inconvenient. slow rolling it out okay. Detent is not super stiff. Reverse flicking it with my offhand is probably doable, but I probably need some practice there. But easy enough. I do appreciate that, like, once we get past the liner lock and the detent, not like drop shut, but actually pretty smooth. Looking at the detent here is, this isn't maybe the best way to do that, but you can see that kind of click in, which is nice. Something like that. So all in all, that stuff's all quite good, and yeah, it just feels nice to, you know, open close it with one hand very easily. In terms of like keeping fingers outside of the blade travel path there, the flipper tab kind of helps with that. Not an issue. I haven't, you know, closed this on my fingers at all, and that feels good. There's not really a choil or any way to like chop up here. We do have a little bit of jimping on the back. I maybe wish it went a little bit further up here just because the size of the knife, but this is a totally fine thing to cut. You know, comparing it to some other knives, I don't have a bunch of like the standard, you know, Benchmade or Spyderco or different things to compare like size to, or like the knives that a lot of people have. This is a knife that I've talked about on the channel before, which is the Kunwu Metal Complex Excalibur. This is the compact Excalibur, so we can see that the Remette Peacock II here is even a little bit smaller than that. And then I have a Vostede, I believe, Porcupine, so smaller than that as well. Shorter in length, shorter handle length, shorter blade length. Actually, in blade stock thickness, this one is like 125 or 126 thousandths, which is actually bigger or thicker rather than the Vostede was, and not as thick as the compact Excalibur there. But if I get this out, actually, yeah, or 122, but like in that 120 kind of blade stock thickness there, which is, yeah, I think the Vostede, which I'll talk about in another video, but I've already shown it a few times, you know, 100, I think, yeah, 115, 118, maybe up to 120, so close. And then I think the Kunwu goes out, I think it's over 130 thousandths blade stock thickness there. Hardware on this, we have T8s in the pivot and T6s everywhere else. It is a small knife. I wish they were T8s, but it's, you know, it's not that bad. T8 on the other pivot there, and then T6 here for the pocket clip and the rest of the hardware through there. And these sort of screws go into the back spacer there, and there's one on each side into the back spacer. The pocket clip is not reversible, which I think is a little bit silly. There's two screws up here that probably both go into like the backspacer area there, and those are holding the pocket clip on. But on the other side, there is the one screw there which lines up, but they didn't put another one there. I don't know how much additional, you know, costs that would have taken to manufacture that. It is additional hardware. Maybe they didn't need that, but being able to switch the pocket clip, I think, is nice. Like I say, I can manipulate this with my left hand just fine, and I think yeah, it would make sense. It's just a nicer little thing that doesn't cost too much. Like I say, centering is good here. All of the fit and finish is pretty good, even for like a very budget knife, which I was pleased with. Stop pin for open and close position is the exact same. It's tucked underneath where the flipper tab is, so it's right there, and then it's tucked right behind there. So no issue even close, because it sits back kind of behind the flipper tab area. The plunge grind, or there's nothing contacting under the blade, so nothing in here at all, so we could sharpen that out. It is easy, if it is 9 CR 18 MOV, it's probably, you know, very easy to work with and do maintenance on this kind of thing. It's just a satin finish here, perfectly fine little thing. You know, black G10, budget steel, stainless kind of little blade here, but a nice little thing. Overall, I've been enjoying my experience with this, and there's not like too much else. I think price wise, I don't even know if this is like available. This might be one of those knives that is found or available, like Remette maybe makes them, and then other companies or other things kind of put their name on it or put their little thing on it. I think Remette does do some OEM work for various people, but on like the very budget end of things, I think it's possible that this model is available, and it might not be called the Peacock, but I think that's what it's called. So I don't actually know what the like MSRP is on this, or what the RRP is for something like this. Like I say, I think BladeHQ had it as a promo item when spending like $165. I think that's a little bit high for something like this. I think they should have lowered that. Maybe when you're spending 100 or 150 would be even better than 165, but you get a free knife. It's probably like a $20 knife, something like that, which is actually pretty good for that price tier. Compared to like a lot of other things, you know, even what I would consider like other great budget knives with Civivi and Vosteed and Kaiser and lots of other makers that do like, you know, less than $70 knives. Remette does like some really, really good stuff here. And then getting into that like $35 area, I think they do a pretty good job as well. I have yet, there's a Miguron that is supposed to be quite good that I ordered, but hasn't shipped yet, so I'll be able to compare that there. But in terms of this, I mean, $20, you know, I think you could do a lot worse for things. At least this is like an actual knife company there, and yeah, I think it's fine with it. You know, just a little short little thing, a small tiny knife, but overall okay, happy to have it. This is one that I would give away to a friend, a coworker, or something like that. It is, carry profile is very, very narrow compared to almost like any knife, so very narrow here. It'd be easy to carry in a pocket, you know, carry in a purse, whatever like that, and it's just fine for what it is here, but I did want to talk about it. And I think that's it. So nice Remette, I guess. Thanks BladeHQ, I suppose. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to SoBlades if you want. I'm going to do a video about the Vosteed here. I've owned a couple different ones of these, and I'll do its own video. I'll talk about a Spyderco coming up here. I'll talk about some Concept stuff. I think a Sen cut knife, and a few other things. So lots to look forward to. I'm just going to be, I don't have a set upload schedule, just doing it periodically. And that'll be good. And I'll hopefully, you know, be looking at some things other people might be interested in. There might be affiliate links in the below, but I'm just getting this started, so don't feel like you need to support anything. If you want, you can go over to my main channel, which is about Lego and brick-based toys and collectibles and things like that. And I do stuff there. That's called SoBricks. This is SoBlades, and that's it. So until next time, thanks. Bye.